let's get into this topic here. We're going to be continuing this conversation about this altercation that happened yesterday between Shannon Sharpe and the Memphis Grizzlies players. Now, when I woke up, I saw these clips floating around the internet, and I was trying to understand what exactly happened in the game that caused Shannon Sharpe and these guys to get into this big altercation. I spent most of the morning trying to figure out exactly what happened. And when I was watching the video for the very first time, one of the thoughts that was in my mind when I first watched it was, where are the Lakers players? Why is it all of these Memphis Grizzlies guys ganging up on Shannon Sharpe? Where are the Lakers players? And then I then realized that altercation actually took place during halftime. And apparently, my thinking is, I think because obviously the bench is on opposite ends, I think that maybe after the buzzer sounded, I think the Lakers players were already going off the court. And maybe because of the sound in the arena, they wouldn't have heard anything. So I think the Lakers players actually went off the court. So what we saw was maybe the Memphis Grizzlies heading in the other direction, opposite where Shannon Sharpe was sitting, right? So that's probably the reason why the Lakers players, none of them, you saw them out there. So after doing some research, I was trying to figure out, well, what exactly was said? And it turns out that Shannon Sharpe actually gave a very brief interview to ESPN's Dave McMenamin and basically gave us the lowdown of what actually happened. So we want to read from this Dave McMenamin tweet. Shannon Sharpe spent halftime in the tunnel with security before returning to his seat for the third quarter. He granted ESPN a brief interview explaining what happened with the Grizzlies on his way to his seat. They didn't want this smoke, Dave. They do all that talking and jockeying, and I ain't about that jockeying. It started with Dylan Brooks. I said he was too small to guard LeBron. He said, F me. I said, F you back. He started to come at me, and I said, you don't want these problems. And then Ja came out of nowhere talking. He definitely didn't want these problems. Then the dad came, and obviously he didn't want no problems. But I wanted anything they had. Don't let these fools fool you now. I tried to do the Shannon Sharpe voice, man. Oh, my God, man. Oh, my God. Oh, Shannon Sharpe. Anyway, so you basically heard how this entire thing started. Basically, they was yapping, and Shannon Sharpe was doing exactly what these Memphis Grizzlies do, which was talk some trash. Apparently, they didn't like it, and then they all of a sudden started to make their way over to him. Here's what I like about it. I like the fact that Shannon Sharpe held his own. He didn't back down. He didn't run away. He didn't turn around and act like as if he didn't say anything that what he said. He stood his ground, which he had 100% right to. Now, this thing that you just saw on the court goes beyond what you just saw last night. There's some history here. I'm going to give you guys a quick refresher on what I'm talking about. As y'all know, a few weeks ago, Shannon Sharpe went on Undisputed, and he gave a strong critique, an honest one critique, of the Memphis Grizzlies. Basically said that they're a bunch of front runners, they talk a lot of trash, and they haven't accomplished anything, which I think most NBA fans would agree with. Most of them would agree with. But then, John Morant, in a very slick and subtle way, actually responded to Shannon Sharpe. How? Some of you may be wondering. We had posted a video. You can go search it. Just go on YouTube when you have a chance. Look for John Morant's video when he's talking about his new shoes. I don't know his first edition with the shoe. Obviously, we know John Morant's kind of the replacement for Kyrie Irving and Nike, so he has his new shoe. And in this video, he's kind of taking us behind the curtains, behind the scenes, to basically show us how NBA players get sponsored by Nike and the process that goes into getting your own shoe, right? And in the beginning of the video, you hear music playing, right? As, you know, it's kind of going through scene to scene. And in the background, you hear a voice talking. And that voice you hear is Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed, basically saying that the Memphis Grizzlies, all they do is talk trash, blah, 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 blah. They haven't won anything. Blah, blah. And at the end of that clip, the screen goes black and it just says, block out the noise. Now, originally when we played that audio, and some of our viewers saw it when we covered it on our channel, a lot of people were like, if you're blocking out the noise, how did you hear him saying that? Like, how did you hear him talking, saying all that stuff about you? So apparently you weren't blocking out the noise, right? So the reason I'm bringing up that story is to show you that Shannon Sharpe is on the radar of these guys. So it's not like as if that was just some isolated incident. No, they're fully aware of what he thinks about them. And in my personal opinion, what he thinks about them is exactly what a lot of NBA fans think about them. They talk a lot of trash. Now, as we currently speak, going into that game, the Memphis Grizzlies were on an 11-game winning streak. An 11-game winning streak. And the Lakers were able to snap that winning streak in a very dramatic fashion. Obviously LA, so got to be dramatic. But they were winning a lot of games. And right now, I think as we currently speak, they're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference behind Nikola Jokic's Denver Nuggets, right? So the Memphis Grizzlies are not a scrub team. They are a very, very good basketball team. But even taking that into account, they still haven't won anything, right? And a lot of the trash talking that they do is based off of nothing. When you see Draymond Green talk trash, Draymond Green has the jewelry to back it up. He has the finals experience to back it up. These guys don't. And to me, I thought it was a real clownish moment that they got upset with Shannon Sharpe for talking trash, when in reality, that's all these guys do. All you do is talk trash. Now, after seeing what Shannon said and kind of seeing what I think Dylan Brooks said, now that was a little bit too far. Like, I don't care if I'm having a dispute with a person, but if the person is much older than me, much older than me, I'm not going to be swearing at them. But that's just the way I was raised, right? That's just the way I was raised. Even if you're having a disagreement with somebody, they're still your elder. So I'm not going to be sitting up here cussing at them. Now, that's just me. I'm not saying that's the way to be, but that's just me. Some cats are very disrespectful. And they're like, if you come at me, I'm going to come at you. We was all raised differently. That's just how I was raised. I'm not going to be cussing at older people, especially people in their 50s and above. That's just corny to me. But that's just me. I'm not saying it's the way to be. It's just the way I feel about it. That's not something I would do on a personal level. But to me, I think the whole situation was it was just a crazy one. But I think Shannon was well within his right because he was giving them a little bit of their own medicine, and apparently they couldn't handle it. You had the whole Memphis Grizzlies team coming towards one guy. Like, come on. How does it look? Like, how does it look really? Steven Adams, this guy, that guy. But what I like is that Shannon Sharpe did not back down, and he stood strong. He held his position, and I think he was 100% within his right. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about the altercation, and who do you think was in the right in this particular thing? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.